Hello everyone, here I am with today's editorial that is of 2nd September 2021. Before we move further on to read the editorial, let us have a quick glance over the vocabulary words that we're going to come across in this session. The first one is fiscal. It means relating to government revenue, especially taxes. So it basically talks about all the money that is in the hands of the government, and I'm sure you might have come across this term while you look at the union budget or the union budget list that comes out every year. Next one is fleeting. It means lasting for a very short time. Next is rebound. Bounce back through the air after hitting something hard. For example, when you play catch with the ball, then when you throw a ball and it hits the surface and it bounces back, so that's called a rebound. Next is gutted. It means bitterly disappointed or upset. Spanning. Of a bridge arc extend from one side to other side. So spanning is basically you can use when you connect two things. So here this is talking in physical terms. So it's talking that a bridge because it connects two sides of a river or anything. Aggregates, that means a whole form by combining several separate elements. So something that is formed after you combine several different elements or several different things, that's called aggregate. Toll, that means the number of death or casualties arising from a natural disaster or conflict, accidents, etc. So that so you like in the present time, if you see, the toll is increasing because there are a lot of COVID deaths that are happening. Next is flatter, that means cause someone to feel honored and pleased. So you can by various means, that is by presenting something or bribing, you can cause someone to feel honored and pleased. That's called flattered or flattering. Even by buttering, you can make people flattered. Next is deceive, that is to cheat. Or deceive basically means to cheat something, to cheat with someone. And for example, when magicians do some sort of magic, they deceive our eyes because it isn't real magic, but they are using some tricks and they are trying to deceive us. Next is ramped. It means increase in level sharply. So next is underpinned, that means support, justify or form the basis of. So when you support something or any, like when you are in the court and there's a paper or sort of proof that justifies what you're saying, so you can call it as underpinned. Next is surged. It means more powerfully forward or upward. So something that is being pushed forward or upward with more power, that is called surge. Next is albeit. It means though. Dampening is making slightly wet. So this is the literal meaning, that is making slightly wet, but dampening also means to decrease or lessen something. Next is tenuous, that means very weak or slight. Next is expediting, make an action happen sooner or be accomplished more quickly. So to make the process more quicker, you can call it as expediting. Next is traction, that is the action of drawing or pulling something over a surface, especially road or track. So that is bringing back someone to the real path or back onto the line is called traction. Like when people are distracted, by giving motivational speeches, you get them back on the traction. Next is now let us read the article. So it says fleeting cheers. That means lasting for a very short time. So cheers that are going to last for a very short time. So in this article, it is basically talking about the economic growth that is visible in the first quarter of this fiscal year. The fiscal year is different from the actual calendar year, that is from January to December, but fiscal year is from I think March, April, March, and yeah. Fiscal measures should ensure overall consumption demand does not weaken. So it's saying that the fiscal, that is relating to the money matters, or the money that is in the hands of the government. So they should ensure that overall consumption does not decrease, because even if factories are opening and they are producing more, if there is no one to buy in the market, then automatically there's goods will stop being sold. So they will also start producing less, and therefore the GDP will decrease. The latest GDP estimates expectedly show that national output rebounded in the quarter one of the current fiscal form from the record contraction in April-June 2020. So here it's saying that the current GDP of the first quarter, that is, quarter is basically one fourth of something. So that means in a year, if you divide it by 4, it gets 3 months. So in the last 3 months, we can see that the GDP has increased with respect to the contraction of GDP in the April-June month of April to June in 2020, when the pandemic's onset and the lockdown gutted the economy. Gutted is uh, reduce or greatly affected it. And so if in comparison to the last year when the pandemic broke out, the GDP has increased this year in the last 3 months. National Statistical Office data show GDP expanded 20.1 from a year earlier. So it has increased 20.1% in comparison to last year. As every one of the 8 industries spanning the board, agriculture, manufacturing and services categories posted positive growth. So if you look in India, there are eight major industries, including coal, electricity, and service sector. Even service sector includes many things. So of the 8, one of the 8 industry spanning the board, agriculture, manufacture and service category posted positive growth. So all of these 8 industries, starting from agriculture, manufacture and services, have tried to leap up and cover up the gap that has been created by the shutdown of all the economy last year, and they have shown a positive growth in comparison to the last year. And gross value added, which aggregates output from all 8 sectors, grew by 18.8%. So here it's saying that it has increased from, if you aggregate means combine, so if you combine the output from all the 8 sectors, it has grown by 18.8% from the previous year, that is 2019 to 2020. The numbers, however, show a different picture when compared with either the preceding quarter of the pandemic first quarter of fiscal 2019 to 2020. So here it's saying, but if this was the data, like we have seen improvement or growth in comparison to the last year after the pandemic broke out. But if you look at the last year data, that was of the first quarter, that is when the pandemic wasn't out, like when the breakout of the pandemic wasn't there. If you compare to that, then it has decreased. It will show a different picture altogether. GDP at constant prices was estimated at 32.38 lakh crore, a 16.9% contraction from January-March 38.96 lakh crore, and more than 9% shy of the 35.66 lakh crore in April-June 2019. So here it's saying that in January, the GDP constant was 38.96, and in January to March it was this, and in April to June it was 35.66 lakh crore. So here if you see, here the contraction was of uh, 9%, and then there was a further contraction, or if you see, the total contraction was 16.9%, and finally it became 32.38 lakh crores. That the second COVID-19 wave extracted a significant toll is evident. With the exceptions of electricity and other utility services and the non-contact intensive services grouping of financial, real estate and professional services, all other 6 industries posted double-digit quarter-on-quarter contraction. So here it's saying that uh, we all are aware that in the second wave of COVID-19, uh, the number of deaths, that is a toll, is evident. It is for sure that it will be more, and with the exception that in the second wave, the electricity and other utility services, these were the two sectors of the 8 mentioned as the important sectors of Indian economy, were the only one that had seen growth, because these were the ones which required non-contact intensive services, and the others required like meeting people and contact services. So electricity and utility services were the two sectors where we can see not that much fall and a constant growth. And this and all the other 6 industries posted double-digit quarter-on-quarter contractions. That means every quarter you could see there was a contraction that was of double-digit, that is more than 10% contraction you could see. On the expenditure front, private consumption spending flattered to deceive, posting year-on-year growth of 19.3%, but still shrinking by 17.4% from the preceding 3 months. So here it's saying that if you look on the expenditure front of the private consumption, so because people did not have jobs and they had less income, the consumption of people also decreased, and the spending reduced, or the normal spending of the people reduced, and posting year-on-year growth of 19.3%. Although there you could see there was a growth of 19.3% from last year, but still it was shrinking by 17.4% from the preceding 3 months. Here it means that from the last year, if you see, on the whole, that is on 12 months, we have seen the growth of 19.3%. But if you see in the past 3 months, we have again seen a downfall. And more disconcertingly, government consumption expenditure, which has invariably in the past helped shore up the economy, contracted by 4.8 from a year earlier, then 7.6 from the previous quarter. So here it's saying not only the expenditure of normal citizens and private people, also the expenditure of government has reduced. The expenditure of government or different sectors and different sectors and different places, like in education, that has also decreased and contracted 4.8% from earlier and 7.6% from previous quarter. So if you look from last year, it has contracted 4.8%, and in the last quarter it has contracted 7.6 from the previous quarter. Looking ahead rather than in the rear view mirror, there have been signs of some traction in the current quarter, as most states have gradually eased their localized second wave restrictions. So here it's saying, instead of looking at what has already happened in the past year and the downfall in the economy and everything, let us look ahead and see, and we can see that tractions basically means the action of drawing or pulling something over a surface, especially road or track. So like we can see that the economy is coming back on track as the state government and the local government have eased of the eased of the lockdown, and eased of the restrictions, and now people can carry out all the economic activities. Exports have been one of the bright spots as the US and other Western economies have ramped up vaccination and posted economic recoveries that have underpinned demands for goods and services from India. So here it's saying that as we can see that US and other Western economies have already ramped up, means increased, a sharp increase in the vaccination. That means most of the population of their country have got vaccinated, and now they are eyeing on the economy sector and looking back to recover it. And so there's going to be a demand on goods and services from India, which is going to help us increase our current economic situation, as the exports will also increase. And manufacturing has surged almost 50% year on year to be just under 24,000 crore, short of April 2019 output level. And also, if you look at the manufacturing sector, that has also increased 50%, 50%, and it is just lacking 24,000 crores in comparison to April June 2019. So we are if we had this much more, then we would be our economy would be the level of what it was in 2019. A fact borne out by Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index from IHS Market, whose August release shows the sector experienced a second straight month of increase in production, albeit a slower pace in July. So here it's saying that a data was released by the Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index from IHS Market, which shows that in August there has been a second constant increase in the production, although it was less than what it was in July, but there has been an increase, a further increase, and not a decline. Still, the same PMI survey also points the challenges ahead. But this PMI survey also points the challenges that we are going to face ahead. Rising raw material costs have been forcing manufacturers to either absorb the impact of rise prices, as several automakers have done, risking the prospect of dampening the already tenuous demand. So here it's saying that the challenge is that the prices of raw material is increasing, so the manufacturing factories will buy the raw material at high prices, and so the final product will also cost more than the usual price. So that means in the market things will cost of higher prices. And we can see this, that many automakers have already done this, like increasing the prices of their products. And but this also has a drawback, that already the demand or the consumption is very low, and it can further lower down if the prices are going to increase like this. And lingering uncertainty has led companies to yet again freeze hiring, according to IHS Market. And this is also going to affect the companies to hire more new employees, and so there'll be a contraction in jobs that are being opened for everyone, so there'll be less job opportunities. With monsoon rains in deficit, agricultural outputs are and wider rural consumption also face a likely downturn. So here this is related to the global warming. So if you look, due to global warming, although the total rain in India is increasing, but in the places where it should rain, or where the places which are agriculturally intensive, there the rain is reducing, and hence affecting the agricultural output and wider rural consumption. So if the farmers are not being able to produce more agricultural surplus, so their income will reduce, and hence again their consumption will reduce. So it's all a vicious cycle. Policymakers must remain laser focused on expediting vaccination coverage and taking physical measures to ensure overall consumption demand does not weaken any further. So here it's saying the policymakers, that is the politicians, should keep laser focus. Laser is this, what is this shown in the picture, that is keeping in focus. To keep in focus, uh, the expediting is basically something to make something happen more uh, more quickly. So that means should focus on increasing the vaccination process and also the coverage, that is all villages, every nook and corner of the country uh, should have the opportunities and facilities to go and get vaccinated, in order to, and also take measures, physical measures, to make sure that the overall consumption is not decreasing, uh, because that is going to affect the economy badly. Because if the consumption is going to be low, then the production will also be low, and that is going to affect the GDP, the gross domestic product. So thank you everyone.